Hi, I'm Ashley.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Sarah, and we are Unabridged, the podcast where teachers take on books.
Join us each week for bookish episodes and check out our website, unabridgedpod.com, where you can find lots of new bookish content every week.
Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at UnabridgedPod and message us there or see our website to get plugged into the Unabridged community. You want opinions about books? We've got them.
Hi, it's Ashley here with our first teaching tidbit of season 5. We are so excited to be back at these with the new school year. I wanted to talk with you today about podcasting in the classroom. So Jen, Sarah, and I have certainly thought a lot about podcasting, and we have done separately and together a lot of podcasting with students of many different age groups. And we found that it is a great way to create a project with students. There are quite a lot of ways to do this, but there's a couple of things that I would certainly recommend if you're wanting to try this with your students. Firstly, you do want kids to have a pretty good sense of what podcasts are like before they try to create their own. So a really nice thing to do is to look at age-appropriate podcasts. We have some great recommendations for those. So if you're interested in getting more information, you can email us at unabridgedpod@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to send some recommendations your way. But you want to make sure that they know what a podcast is, that they've heard some, and it's nice when they're listening to them for them to see what they like and what they don't like as far as the style of the podcast. Then, once they have a good sense of that, they're better equipped to make their own project. They can make podcasts for many different things. You could have everybody in the class do a podcast. You could have them do book talks and record those book talks. So maybe they record by themselves something about a book or another introducing yourself kind of activity. They also could do it with a partner. So they could have some questions ready and they could take turns asking each other about what they've been reading. Or again, it could be a get to know you activity here at the beginning of the year. They could have a few questions for their partner and then they could each record talking to each other about this get to know you activity. What I want to say is that there's a lot of ways to do this. So of course it could be a longer range project that really requires a lot of preparation and study and research for the students, but it also can be something that you can do quickly, and within a class period, they could create something fun and easy to listen to, and they could learn a new skill as far as creating a different type of project if they haven't done that kind of thing before. There are some great platforms to use for this. One that I would recommend that is very easy to use and that I have done with as young as kindergarten students, but I've also used at the high school level, is Adobe Spark. We've shared about Adobe Spark before, so I will link that in the show notes to where we've talked about how to use Spark previously. But what you could do is choose the video option in Adobe Spark, and it will have a graphic. You can choose to just listen to them, or you can let them choose a simple icon that they have the whole time. But as long as the focus is on what they're saying, what's really nice about Spark is that they can easily record their voices. They don't have to do hardly anything. There's not any editing involved. So if they don't like what they did, they just record again. But it really is training them to say the thing, to share the idea, and to finish up the project and get it out there. So that is a great, quick, easy option that can create a really nice product. You also can introduce video editors with podcasting. I love to do this because video editing, for those of you who have tried it with students, you know that video editing is quite complex. It is a great skill for kids to learn, but it is something that can be really challenging. I personally was very intimidated by video programs when I was first learning how to use them. And so what's nice about using a video program, WeVideo is a great option, and it does have a free part that you could use with your students. So if you use a program like WeVideo, what is so great about them is that they are learning how to record and edit, but it is much simpler to just edit the audio and to not have that video component. So if you're wanting to later on in the year try introducing a video project, Podcasting through a video editor is an awesome way to introduce the concept of editing, how to split a clip, how to delete a part and put it together, and yet it is a much simpler approach as far as both the recording and the editing than it is when you add that extra layer of video. So I really recommend that you can approach longer term goals for your year by starting out with some pretty simple podcasting ideas that, again, a book talk is a great thing to do, a quick research about a topic and then sharing about that on a 2 to 3 minute podcast is amazing. A quick 1 minute getting to know your partner clip is a great way to create a quick podcast. It's something that people can listen to for each other in the class, and then that might be a fun way to share some things, to do a little research and give some information about a topic, or to just get to know each other a little bit better. One other way that you can choose to use podcasts in your classroom is if you say, okay, at the end of this unit, you're going to create a product. A podcast could be one choice for those products. So it's really nice for kids who are great at oral communication, but who struggle with written communication. This is such a nice way for them to really show what they know and to share their ideas in a way that's going to feel very comfortable for them. Conversely, for students who really struggle to say what they think, podcasting is such a great skill for them because it is training them to say their ideas, to say them with confidence, and to work through how to do that in a space where they're recording what they have to say. There are a few tips I wanted to share. So I know I've kind of mentioned some different ideas here, but the main thing is you can do it with editing or without editing, and you can do very quick and simple projects, or you can do things that are more of a long-range unit project that you're working toward a goal of creating this product. Regardless of how you do it, there are a few things that you want to remind students about. I always talk with kids about how podcasts, for the most part, unless they're writing their script and then they're going to read it verbatim, a lot of podcasts are more conversational. It's great to have bullet points where you know what you're going to ask or what you want to make sure that you say, but you want those things to sound natural. That's what your audience is listening for, and so it's nice for them to practice kind of that conversational style and having some key points that they want to make, but also recording what they have to say. They also can do it very simply with a computer. They do not have to have fancy equipment to make this work. However, they do need to speak clearly. So a lot of students, they don't have to yell, but we talk about projecting your voice and just making sure that you are speaking clearly and that you are positioning yourselves, like if it's me and a partner, that the two of us are sitting so that we're both equidistant from the computer so that it's easy to hear us. If you introduce editing, there are ways to fix imbalances. So if somebody's really quiet or somebody's really loud, there's a lot of ways to fix that on the editing side. But I always tell kids, record yourselves for 15 or 20 seconds and listen back and hear how it sounds. And if one of you is super quiet and the other one's loud, then just move your computer over a little bit. So that's just an easy way to handle it. And like I said before, I just want to reiterate, there are a lot of different programs you can use. If you have Macs in your school, iMovie is a great program that you can just use the audio component and record in there. Or WeVideo is a free online software. They do have a paid version that is excellent, but the free version will do what you need for this. And you can even get an MP3 file, which is an audio file, when you finish those projects. Finally, Adobe Spark is the one I mentioned first. And it is such an easy program. Kids do need a login. They do need to create one. It is free to use. It's free to have a login. And once they have that, they can get in there and make some different projects, all of which look very professional, but are really fun to design, easy to create, and can be processed and designed pretty quickly. So I hope that's been helpful. We are always happy to answer questions about podcasting or any other part of the things that we mentioned as different activities that you can do in the classroom. And I want to remind you also that we do have a lot of resources on our Teachers Pay Teachers store. It's just Unabridged Pod is the store. And so you can look for Unabridged Podcast on there. And we have a lot of different guides and things. And we're always willing to consider new ideas and things that people would like to see on there. So shoot us an email at unabridgedpod unabridged@gmail.com if you have questions, if you have ideas, or if there are things that you would like to try in your classroom and you'd like support trying. Thanks so much for listening, and join us in a couple of weeks for our next teaching tidbit.
Do you have comments or opinions about what you heard today? We'd love to hear them. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Unabridged Pod, or on the web at unabridgedpod.com for ways to support us. To get more involved, you can sign up for our newsletter, join a buddy read, or become an ambassador. Thanks for listening to Unabridged.